In the past week, there have been 4 major product announcements from the major AI players. And in this video, I'm going to walk through exactly what you need to know as a maker and a creator and a business person living in the AI era to stay on top of your game and take advantage of these huge advances in AI technology. This is the beginning of an AI news roundup video I'll be doing every week because I found that it's just too hard and too time consuming and actually not effective use of your time for me to do a video about everything that comes out because it's happening almost every day from Anthropic and ChatGPT and Gemini and all these players. It's just too much. And so I'm condensing everything I know from a week down into an AI news roundup. And this is the first of those videos. I'm Craig Hewitt. Welcome back to the channel. Let's dive straight in and talk about the 4 things you need to know from AI product news in the last week from Claude Opus 4.1, Google's new IDE called Antigravity, Google Gemini 3, and Nano Banana 2. Let's dive in. Okay, so first, let's talk about Claude Opus 4.1. So if you know Anthropic and Claude at all, you know that Sonnet has kind of been the go-to daily driver of models for a lot of us for things like writing and coding a little bit, but just generally use LLM, right? It's the thing you chat with and it makes our lives easier. Opus, and previously Opus 4.1, was the powerhouse coding model. Since Sonnet 4.5 came out, Opus kind of got put in the back seat, if you will. Put baby in the corner for you Dirty Dancing fans. Well, that changed, right, yesterday because Anthropic launched Claude Opus 4.5, the most powerful, deep thinking model ever, according to everything that is in this blog post. And we're going to give it a real-time test here in just a minute. But I don't want to just like show you how I build stuff with tools. I want to give you the data and actually what it means to you as you're using these tools for yourself and your business, right? So what does Opus 4.5 mean to you? Well, it scored an 80.9 on the software engineering bench test. What does that mean? It means it's 80.9% as good as the best humans are at coding. Sonnet 4.5 previously 77, Opus 4.1, the best model from Anthropic before, 74%, Gemini 3, ChatGPT 5.1 Codex Max, and GPT 5.1 in the kind of high to mid 70s. So 5 percentage points higher than a lot of the best models previously. Everything that I'm seeing in my own use from it's only been out about 24 hours. From my use in the last 24 hours, it is very deep. That's how I would put it. It thinks a lot, it considers things, and that's really good when you're writing code because what you don't want to do is have it go off on some random tangent that's wrong, that you're going to have to unwind later. And so while this is not the fastest model, this is not the composer model from Cursor, where it's just everything is so super fast. This is just right most all the time, which to me, right is better than fast. And so I think that's the biggest thing you need to know. So there's just more bench test scoring, so like how it does, agentic thinking. So I think that one place we'll probably see this is in long-running independent agent use. We'll probably be running Opus 4.5 more so than Sonnet, just because it does better by itself. One thing, so languages, it's kind of, interesting, and this has been definitely my experience. So Opus 4.5 doing better than a lot of the other models. Interestingly, PHP, which my business Cashless, we're a Laravel application, and the business that I'm building, Linkberry, is also a Laravel application just to keep the tech kind of consistent. We're not getting better at PHP, and we're kind of like at a mid point here. So I just found that was interesting. I don't know why that is. If you're a developer and you know why that is, let me know in the comments below. My experience is that all of these agentic tools like Claude Code, or we're going to talk about Antigravity and Gemini 3 Pro in a minute, do better at JavaScript and TypeScript apps than they do at Laravel. And the data kind of supports this now, but maybe not previously. Maybe that was just my experience. Safety and alignment, right? Improving here, which is great. We don't want the robots taking over the earth. Okay, so the most important thing here is it says set to a medium effort level. Opus 4.5 matches Sonnet 4.5's best score, but uses 76% fewer output tokens. At its highest effort level, Opus 4.5 exceeds Sonnet 4.5 by 4.3 percentage points while using 48% fewer tokens. Okay, so what does this mean? It means it's right, it thinks longer, and it does overall less work than Sonnet 4.5. And so if you see in like Cursor, you'd see like a whole bunch of stuff happening here. And you're like, oh man, this is great. Like I'm doing a lot of work. What I find in the last 24 hours using Opus is it goes away and it thinks, and then it does a thing and it's done. That's really great, because what I don't want is I don't want to feel like I'm being super productive because I see a bunch of stuff going by in the terminal or in Cursor, seeing Claude code work. I just want the code to work and my application to be effective for myself and my team and my customers. And I think that's what they're getting at here is like, hey, the model is just more efficient and it uses less tokens to achieve the same thing. That's what you need to know about Opus 4.5. Just one last note on Claude Opus 4.5. It is, as of today, the default model in Claude Code. And so if I'm in Claude Code here and I say model, you can see that Opus 4.5 is the default. I think they're wanting to roll this out and giving people a whole bunch of exposure to it so they can get some data on it. It will be more expensive later, probably. And so we'll have this decision to make of like, hey, I'm going to use Opus 4.5 for certain more important things in coding, and I'll use Sonnet 4.5, or even I would use Cursor and their composer model for some things. So this is maybe how we're going to have to think about breaking down different model usage over time, but maybe going back to the data around using less tokens, even if per token it's more expensive, Opus 4.5 should use less tokens overall. So price maybe won't be a big deal. Okay, but the real newsmaker from the last week has been Google. And you guys know, if you followed the channel for any period of time, I think Google is going to win the AI wars because they have the biggest existing business already, maybe outside of Microsoft, which they're definitely not winning, and Apple definitely is not winning right now. But Google is right there. You see them on all the benchmarking tests. They have a really good model. And in some ways, they have the best models if you're talking about like Nano Banana. But I think they can win because they have all of the business infrastructure in place. They have their own chip technology. And I just think that they can spend more money and not have to monetize their models directly like ChatGPT and Claude do. Okay? But Google Gemini 3 Pro released last week everywhere. You can see it here in Google Gemini. They call it, and this is classic Google, they're just not great marketers, I find. They call it Thinking with 3 Pro. So Google Gemini 3 Pro is the name of the model. If you go to fast, this is the old 2.5 Pro. No, 2.5 fast model, right? So 3 is the new model here. And everything that I hear about Gemini 3 is it's really good at writing. It's really good at being creative. It's really good at analysis. If you liked Gemini 2.5 Pro, you're going to love Gemini 3. And it's really good at front-end design. And we're going to talk about design here in a minute, but let's just give an example here of like, we're going to build a little project real quick, okay? Okay, and to show off its front-end design skills, let's build a little app here and just see what Gemini 3 Pro can do. So I'm going to give it a prompt like this. I want to build a YouTube analytics tracking dashboard. So build me an analytics dashboard that would track all of the best parameters and data points that I need to know as a YouTube creator to stay on top of my channel and my space and my competitors and what's going on so that I can make the best decisions about creating channel videos that are really interesting and helpful for my audience. I give you full creative license, make this a really sleek, modern analytics dashboard, and create this for me, please. Cool, okay, so pretty straightforward prompt. And here, I think this is we're gonna show you kind of how this is overcoming one of the big objections of AI previously is it all looks the same and it's all bad. But everything that I've seen in my own experience and playing around with Gemini 3 Pro And everything I've seen on YouTube and Twitter is that the front end design is just amazingly good. So I think if you're using something like V0 or Bolt or Lovable, you might not need that anymore because you can come over here and use a specialized vibe coding design centric tool to really kind of level up the front end kind of look that you're getting from an application. So this is, already kind of mostly done. This will take just another minute here. And I will mention, like a lot of things, Gemini 3 Pro is free in all Google accounts and included in like your Google Workspace plan to kind of certain limits. Just like with Opus 4.5 in Claude Code, you're getting access to Gemini 3 Pro for free. You may have to pay a little more for it at certain different usage limits in the future. I've seen people getting kind of limited out with Gemini 3 Pro, but you might not need it all the time. And that's why they give you the selector. If we go back to the Gemini chat interface here, it's like you might not need 3 Pro for everything, but when you need it, you want to have it. So just be a little conscious of kind of when you're using different models in the Google and Gemini ecosystem. Cool. So this is building like a whole TypeScript app. We're talking about like how I think some of these like vibe coding models tend towards Node and TypeScript more than others. I don't know why that is, but they definitely do. And so I just kind of go with it. I kind of learned my lesson of building Linkberry. I built the original in TypeScript and Next.js, and I rebuilt the whole thing in Laravel. And I probably shouldn't because I think it's more efficient just to build something in the framework and the language that these LLMs and these app builders really want to build in. Okay, so we have some errors. It's going to be just resolving these automatically, and we'll have a full kind of look at what this looks like here in just a minute. Okay, so it's done and it looks amazing, I think. Like, look at the design here. This is not the classic like boilerplate AI crap. Like, this is really in-depth, really good kind of layout, structure, and style here. I'm super impressed. So where do you use Gemini for? I think for creative writing, really good. For front-end design, really good. And it could just be your daily driver for powerful tasks because it's free with every Google plan. I really like Google because they have the infrastructure play already, not just from a hardware perspective, but Docs and Sheets and Google Meets, all the places where you're already doing work, Gemini already exists. Okay, speaking of Gemini, Nano Banana was the thing that like set the internet on fire a few months ago, and now they're back with Nano Banana 2 or Nano Banana Pro. Create clear images within text, seamlessly transfer image styles, combine multiple images at the same time, and turn ideas into professional quality visuals. I think this is the one that could transform graphic design and whole industries of how people work more than maybe anything else, because like it's just really, really good. So I want to use a couple of really specific examples here, and we're going to try to build a couple of things. Okay. So the first is we're going to try to build a YouTube thumbnail. This has been historically kind of tough because you have to get like a rectangular image and then upload another rectangular image. Let's see how Nano Banana 2 does with this whole like aspect ratio thing that we talked about before. Okay, so I'm going to drag in an image of a rectangular image to start with, and then an image of myself, and then we'll build the thumbnail from there. Okay, so just uploaded a rectangular white background image, and I'm going to say, make a YouTube thumbnail of this image that is in grayscale with clouds in the background and red letters saying, "This changes everything." Make the lettering be really bold and impactful, classic, and the kind of YouTube thumbnail style. All right, so let's see how it handles this. It should take this image, apply the grayscale clouds background, and then red letters saying, "This changes everything." So that should all happen. In the meantime, I'm going to go get an image while this is working from my computer, and we'll add it to layer on top of that, because that's been the thing that really challenges a lot of these tools. Okay, cool. Oh, this is like a Stranger Things kind of look. I like it. Okay, cool. So now I have an image of myself. Drag that in here. So an image of myself. Okay, so, and now let's say, take the image that I just uploaded, remove the background, and overlay a headshot of myself with a surprised look on my face, and I'm pointing at the words, "This changes everything." So this will be a pretty big challenge. It's got to remove the background here. It's got to take and change my face and then have me pointing at these words here. So let's see how it does. The other part is this is square, and it might take and make the image square. So we'll see how it does. If it can do this, then I'm going to love it. Okay, so it gives the surprise look, and I'm pointing at this, but it is square. Okay, so also, images created with the previous version, limit resets 10:30 tonight. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I'm on the Google Workspace plan, like the cheapest one, I think, here on my personal account. So not a lot of use here, but I think suffice to say, like, a ton you can do with Nano Banana 2 in creating images. I think the trick here with the aspect ratio is either use the API, because you can set the aspect ratio and the dimensions, or I should have uploaded a rectangular image here, and that probably would have worked. But it did a good job of cutting me out like perfectly and moving my arm and having me point, and even got like my ring here, which is amazing, like, because that's not in this image. But you know, I married, have a wedding ring on. So like, pretty good. Definitely requires a little bit of tweaking, but you know, really good. The trick for aspect ratio is just keep uploading the same aspect ratio of image to keep the final result here the same. Okay, and the last piece of AI news from the last week is Google releasing their entirely free IDE, integrated development environment, called Antigravity. And so if I switch over to Antigravity here, you'll notice, whoa, like this looks a lot like Cursor, right? Because it's just a fork of VS Code. VS Code's kind of like the industry standard IDE. You notice a lot of the stuff is the same, like Git, debug, extensions, testing, all these things, File Explorer. The one thing that is really interesting about Google Antigravity, one is, like, for now, you have access to Gemini 3 Pro at like extended usage. So if you're like, hey, I don't really like Sonnet, or I don't want to use Claude or whatever, you can use Gemini 3. And a lot of people really like this, again, especially for front-end design things. The other thing is they have this kind of agent mode, right? And so in the agent manager here, because I think what Google is doing, which is very smart, is they're saying like, hey, the future of software development is agent first and agent driven. And so if you've played around with like Claude Code a lot in Cursor, you have to have like multiple tabs open and stuff to like manage multiple agents. And y'all have seen the videos that I've done about like firing off agents from the web and then merging things and all this kind of crap. Like, I can come in here and start a new conversation, and then I can add another one in the same repo to say like, hey, you go work on this thing, and you go write tests, and you resolve this issue over here, and you start doing authentication, and you do, you know, payments or whatever. As long as those things aren't like conflicting too much, you can just spin up an agent, have it go do stuff, and then you could even be working over here in the sidebar like synchronously on things. So I think the whole concept of like an agent inbox, delegating and managing agents, is conceptually the biggest difference with Google Antigravity, aside from like it does all the normal agent stuff. The other big one is it's Google, right? So like they have the browser like built in. And so you can see, so I have to install the extension here. I opened a new tab, like install the extension here, but it's going to give you the same kind of experience where you can like select divs and you can select items and stuff to debug stuff directly in the IDE here. So you don't have to like go out and like take a screenshot and bring it back in and tell it what to do. You can just say like, hey, you know, change this to be purple or whatever, and it'll do it. So like pretty powerful to bring the browser into your IDE in a really kind of seamless way. And of course, like leave it up to Google to do this. So how am I using Antigravity? Well, one of the places I'm using it is, you know, all these tools. Well, one of these places is like all these tools have like quite a bit of work they do that don't need me. And so I'm multitasking a lot. So I might be working on Linkberry here in Cursor, and then I can flip over and work on another project. I'm calling this one YouTube Machine, which is like a an ode to something I'm going to be sharing with you guys very soon, which is a new YouTube product that I'm building. I can come and work on one thing here in Google Antigravity. I can go over here in Cursor and work on something else. And so I can really kind of multitask and be synchronous between both, which is really cool. And that's just discounting entirely the whole concept of like the agent manager. I can be synchronously writing code in the kind of chat dialog box over here, in Antigravity and in Cursor on 2 different projects at the same time. And so like, if you guys are real power users and you're on the $200 a month Claude project or Claude plan, you can really do 2 projects at the same time to kind of full effect without having to worry about, version control and branches and stuff like that. So that's how I'm using Antigravity. That's the AI news from the past week. I hope you like this format. Please let me know in the comments below if you like this kind of digest format or if you want individual videos about each topic, because this would have been 4 different videos. And my plan going forward is to release 2 or 3 videos a week. One kind of about news and product stuff, and the other about me building stuff like Linkberry or my YouTube tool and showing y'all how I'm building and marketing and selling stuff with AI. Let me know your thoughts. I'm Craig Hewitt. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.